Ignoring all cringy thumbnails, we have to talk about Sleep Token and their new album. Hey everybody, I'm James Lundquist, and today we're talking about Take Me Back to Eden by Sleep Token. As far as I can tell, this album has been somewhat divisive in the metalcore heavy music community, and I'm here to talk about a particularly scathing review that I don't know if I 100% agree with. Make sure to watch to the end to get my opinion on the album. A friend of mine sent me this review, and I'm not gonna lie, I laughed when I read it, and I wanted to talk about this. I do feel like there's a type of cynicism in this that might be the thing that is maybe stifling innovation just a little bit when it comes to heavy music. So before we get started on this, be sure to leave a comment down below. What did you think of the album? And don't forget to subscribe. All right, this interview is from Sputnik Music, and it was reviewed by Well Played Johnny with your master degree in kind of ambient breakbeat and its relevance in the world of electronic musica, that's right, yep, which unfortunately won't die with your generation. The summary of the review: TikTok band releases new low for depressive, horny muzak in the guise of pretentious concept metal. Piss on it repeatedly. So I think we can tell how they feel about this. Pick up the phone. Sleep Token are a god-awful band. Get off this page and run like an ostrich till there's an entire horizon between your rump and their turgid mismatch of styles that might have belonged together if a more talented and or tasteful group of musicians had turned their hand to them. It's just, I can taste the hate. Sputnik Music, taste the hate. First reason, their vanilla gent, vanilla pop, vanilla alt R&B trifecta is heavily contingent on an anonymous gimmick vocalist Vessel's competence in the latter. His vocal melodies develop sluggishly and with great blandness, a decision one might normally scorn, but that can perhaps be excused as a convincing invocation of worship music as per the hysterically pretentious religious cult trappings that underpin the band's lore. Opener Chokehold's verses are just a few minor alterations away from a faithful aping of Onward Christian Soldiers. They do really, I mean, it's their thing. They really do rely heavily on their mystique, you know? I mean, it's their thing. It's kind of like I guess Ghost was before Tobias Forge before it was really known that he was Papa Emeritus and all of the other incarnations of his role in that band. Such melodies require and in fact concertedly attempt R&B-esque charisma to tide things over, to which end it is highly unfortunate that Vessel resembles the tosspot from Imagine Dragons doing vocal warm-ups through a Darth Vader headset throughout the whole record. I hate, if you want me to get passionate about, like, I don't like to dump on music on this channel. I'm like the opposite of a critic. I'm a fan. I like to highlight the good stuff because there's a lot of negativity. If you want to see me talk bad about music, maybe I'll start a Patreon or something. I don't know. But like, I feel as though there's so much criticism from music from people who are also not musicians, which is an interesting thing. But if you want to see me get just viscerally upset, like, put on Imagine Dragons. I can't stand that band. There are some elements to this record that, I'm not gonna lie, there are some Imagine Dragons-esque things, but I don't think it's a ripoff, and they do it well enough to the point where I'm not like puking my guts out. Tosspot is a great term for the vocalist of the Imagine Dragons, though. I love that so much. His inflections and dependence on a highly modulated tone sound neither intuitive nor comfortable to perform, and consuming them is about the same. God, he just goes on. This feeds the second reason for this album's kill on birth factor, Jesus. Namely, its lyricism. For the most part, Vessel runs off a blend of the most cliched, bleeding heart metalcore tropes. My life is torn, my bones, they bleed, my metaphors, they will fall short, and the laziest clutches at R&B swagger. These days I'm a circuit board. Integrated hardware you cannot afford. I do remember hearing that lyric and going like, come on guys, that's so, it is, you know. This is as innocuous here as it has been under the pens of 1,000 equally trite lyricists. All well and good, but it has the upshot that when Vessel insufferably belabored infections and all attempts anything approaching candor, the music's entire emotional scaffold collapses under the weight of his act. We hear this on the unwittingly corny self-affirmation snoozer DYWTYLM. Do you wish that you loved me? In case you didn't know. And more problematically, cheap emotional exploration of Are You Really Okay? The latter's stark portrait of caring for someone who self-harms is so overproduced and unimaginatively rendered, both musically and lyrically, so steeped in the vocal style that practically oozes effect at every other turn on the record, that its inclusion comes at best in extremely poor taste, and at worst as an explorative tactic to cement in the emotionally vulnerable fan base the band have cultivated so successfully on TikTok. I was a little confused when they said the TikTok band, because from what I understand, it's not so much that Sleep Token is a TikTok band. It's more so people on TikTok have gone full on fucking banana sandwich for this band, and plenty of weird, gross, goth adjacent dudes are doing weird, horny strip type dances to the R&B part from The Summoning, which is painful to watch. Oh, maybe just to turn me on. Are You Really Okay is followed immediately by a stab at trap metal that clutches at blockbuster epics so fervently that it might as well have been custom engineered as a plea to bring Michael Bay back to the director's seat of the Transformers franchise. More often than not, any consistency of voice established in Vessel's lyrics will find itself comically shorthanded by whichever stylistic decision follows it. At this point, we have to look at wholesale songwriting, and I am obliged to drop the charade that this album's successive failings have been handled as entirely distinct issues. Translation, fuck this shit. Yeah? I have 1,000 bones to pick with the way this thing is written and constructed, but the largest, hardest, boniest, and least forgivable of these is that Sleep Token are playing a patently silly combination of styles and have absolutely no ear for dysfunction. Crass genre fusions are no issue in and of themselves, but they are rarely seamless, and almost all of their successful practitioners engage with the jagged end of juxtaposition, typically with performative flair that momentarily foreground stylistic disjuncture before taking it in their stride. You'll hear this from everyone from Baby Metal to Mr. Bungle to 100 Gex to Satanic Porno Cult Shop. Even Sleep Token's comrades in bad taste loathe know better than to underplay moments of disjuncture. This is a key quality that makes their music exciting if you roll with them, and at least sympathetic if you don't. Sleep Token's songwriting is so unbearably steady, so bereft of sharp contours, so homogeneous in its pace, so bland in its melodies. I count the piano run on Aqua Regia's bridge as its sole melodic flourish. So procedural in their developments that even the album's most nonsensical moments of discontinuity disappear into the slog of one damn thing after the next. I don't think he likes it. This record is so dull, so bland, that when we as an audience are asked to take the Summoning's unctuous funk coda or the Token breakdown phoned in at the end of the title track at face value as just another part of ongoing compositions that make internal sense and should indeed be taken entirely seriously, well, the stakes are so low and the personality so microscopic that, why the hell not? This band's tedium, their mercilessly polished tones, their big bucks mastering, their humorless refusal to spotlight any glorious points of absurdity within their own writing, their algorithmic combination of the most derisive parts of how many separate genres into a no less than unremarkable whole. It all makes sense for one of the most irksome feints at artistry I've heard this decade, and feels oriented towards an impressionable audience with sickeningly calculated precision. It is a mockery of good taste and deserves nothing. You deserve better than this album and this stooge band. Okay, I feel as though While this author brings up some points that I don't entirely disagree with about this album, about this band, a part of me, the way this is written, it seems as though this is about more than Take Me Back to Eden in the band Sleep Token. It's like Sleep Token, like Vessel, who like became his stepdad and moved in and took his N64 away and said, no more playing until you eat your carrots and do your homework. But the dude's 27 and doesn't have homework and hates carrots, but loves Mario. I think that this review is maybe a little bit unfair. I will say this album, this whole album, I think, is it like a masterpiece? Is it like the greatest album ever written? No, it's not. Is Sleep Token my favorite band? No, they're not. I think that this album does something really interesting that I've been wanting to happen for a few years, for a long time, actually. I remember being in high school and middle school and being like the stereotypical metal punk guy and just being like, I don't listen to pop music, it's stupid. I had no time for the Katy Perrys and the Lady Gagas of the world because I just didn't care. But I remember thinking to myself, like, what if pop music had, guitars, bass, drums, like modern pop music anyway? I remember really wishing for that. And with this album, yeah, it's considered like progressive metal, and I don't think that's a very fair title. If anything, I would place this more in the realm of like progressive pop, with some metal influence to it. And I think that's a very fair label for it. But at the end of the day, I don't think that this album is the worst thing to happen to music. The more you listen to this album, I wasn't sure if I liked it at first. The more I've listened to it, the more I really do dig it. But it's mid. And not mid as in like, it's fine. I mean that it's mid-tempo. Like the whole thing, it seems to be not quite slow, not quite fast, which is really, for lack of a better way to put it, kind of gives you musical blue balls a little bit. And not to mention, it does get a little bit confusing stylistically. When I listen to this, and I listen to like The Summoning or Vor or, Take Me Back to Eden, like there are heavy parts to it, and then it gets into, it's a lot of vocals, and a lot of songs start out with like Vessel, really like slow and low and okay, fine. But then you get R&B in there, but then you almost get some almost like 1975 or The Night Game or The Midnight kind of stuff in there. And then it goes to heavy, and then it goes to like Catholic church like style stuff. It's very confusing, which is fine. Like I'm all for weird music, but it's a little disjointed. So is it the worst album ever? No. Is it my favorite? No. But it's fine, and you should listen to it if you haven't listened to the whole thing yet. Sit down and listen to the whole thing in a row. And if you don't listen to it again, then you don't. But anyway, I saw that review and I just wanted to talk about it because it made me laugh. Because while this might not be my favorite album, this writer fucking hates that album. And it's always funny to listen to someone just go off about something like that. I don't know. Leave a comment down below. What did you think of that album? What did you does this album deserve that? And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.